Hi, good evening. So, what I wanted to discuss was the Wiccan Rede. And instead of discussing the typical, do you believe in it, do you believe in the threefold law, and so on and so forth, I want to discuss the Wiccan Rede as a basis for a morality system. Because a lot of Wiccans and quite a few other witches take the Wiccan Rede as dogma. That this is somehow religious law that has been handed down from who knows where. But this isn't true, it's a poem. And it's a great poem, and it has a lot of very interesting ideas, and I think that a lot of the points in that poem are great to base a morality system on. For example, the part of the Wiccan Rede which are most known is, of course, the ending of it with these 8 words the Wiccan Rede fulfill. If it harms none, do what you will. And as a liberal, I think this is an amazing idea. Basically, if you don't harm anyone by your actions, you can do whatever you want. And I think that, of course, within a greater society, laws needs to be a bit more complex, but still I think that should be the heart of it. As long as nobody's getting hurt, people should be able to do whatever they wanted. And actually, I was brought up with a very similar law, which it comes from a children's tale in Norway. And it is known as the Kardemomme law, because it's a children's book about this city, this little Norwegian city known as Kardemomme, and in it they have only one law, and that is, and in Norwegian it rhymes, but it wouldn't even translate it into English, you shall not harm others, you should be nice and kind, and other than that you can do what you want. And I think that ideas like this is a great way to act as guidelines for people to work well together. When that is said, the Wiccan Rede is not handed down information from the gods, it is not religious dogma, it is a poem. And as such, I think that each individual practitioner has the option to interpret it and take from the Wiccan Rede what they themselves feel is right and what themselves feel is needed for their practice. So, yeah, I get a little bit nuts over all the is this against the Rede, is this against the Rede, is that against the Rede debates that pop up all over the internet, because basically it doesn't matter. With, for example, Christianity, you have Christians believe that the 10 Commandments, which the Wiccan Rede is sometimes compared to, the Christians think that the 10 Commandments are direct, is the direct words of God. Moses went up onto the mountain and he received these commandments from God. Therefore, there's not that much room. Of course, they are open for interpretation, but they are divine law. So if you are a Christian, if you subscribe to that faith, then really that the Ten Commandments are the word of God. The Wiccan Rede is not like that. There are a lot of debate about who actually wrote the poem, because it popped up a bit here and it popped up a bit there, and I might do another video going into the exact origins of the Wiccan Rede, but it was, and I've said that a lot of times in this video, but it was a poem. So the early Wiccans never claimed this to be divine canon. And then it is a bit frustrating when people treat it as such. Like I said, I'm not saying that the Wiccan Rede is a bad thing to follow. No, I'm not a Wiccan, so I don't follow it completely. Among other things, I don't believe in the threefold law and so on and so forth. But I think that it comes from a very good place, and I think there's a lot of wisdom in it. However, like with anything where you take fiction and you make a life path out of it, you have to interpret it to fit your life. And in effect, a poem is fiction. And I think that you have to look at the threefold law and all the other ideas within the Wiccan Rede, and you have to determine what does this mean for me. Now, some Wiccan traditions have various versions of the Wiccan Rede as canon, and if you subscribe to a specific religion, including a Wiccan tradition, then of course you are a bit bound by that interpretation. However, if you are a Wiccan solitary practitioner or any sort of pagan that ascribe to the Wiccan Rede, then you are free to choose for yourself. Like, is cosmetic surgery against the Rede? Well, I don't know, is it? Is it that for you? Is extreme sports against the Wiccan Rede? Is it for you? Is a sport where you might end up injuring the other party, not by intent, but like in, for example, football, injuries will happen. Is that against the Rede? I don't know. Is it for you? As a poem, I think that the Wiccan Rede is a great way to make your mind start working and come up with how your own morality works. And as such, it's a template. But it is a lot of the way it is written and so on is written that way to sound good, not because it is very clear. And as such, the Wiccan Rede is there. I think that the best way to use the Wiccan Rede is to read it, meditate on it, and then determine yourself what the various sections of the Rede means, and also read all of it, not just that last part of it, because there's a lot of good sections other than that. So yeah, I think that it is very important to remember that the Wiccan Rede is a poem. It might be an inspired poem that the goddess or the god or both have had their hands in, but it is a poem nonetheless, and it was never meant when it was written to be religious dogma. It is a great piece of literature is a very good text, and I think that anyone on a pagan path, whatever that pagan path is, Wiccan or not, can gain something from meditating on it. But I think that ultimately the individual will have to decide what each of the do's and don'ts of the Wiccan Rede means for them, and whatever or not those do's and don'ts apply to them. And I think that it's important to remember this is a poem. This is a tool, how can I use it? And not be completely bound down by dogma and being terrified that what you do will somehow be against the Rede and then bad things will happen. Because that's not the way most neo-pagan religions work. So yeah, just a bit of a rant there on the Wiccan Rede as a poem. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say for now. Have a great evening and blessed be.